Hey there, this is LA Calling, and you're watching Brutally Delicious with Bruce Moore.
Hey, welcome to Brutally Delicious. I'm Bruce Moore. Okay, we've got a great show in store for you. We're going to be joined by Bill Leverty from Firehouse. And if you stay tuned, we're going to see what he's got cooked up for us today. Hey, Bill.
Hey,
thanks for joining us here in the kitchen, man. I appreciate
glad
it.
to be here. This is a real honor.
I appreciate you coming down. What do you got in store for us?
This is a recipe for guys like me who can't cook, but want to give the impression to your first or second date of the girl that you have your eye on that you can cook. After you're done, she'll think you can, but you got to level with her that you're not a cook.
Otherwise, you'll end up being a one-trick pony kind of thing.
That's right, and that's what I am. But at least it gives your date that time to go, wow, the guy went out of his way to make something nice for me. You make her feel comfortable, make her taste something that's very delicious and healthy, and then maybe you'll get that third date. It worked for me 20 years ago with my wife, and we're still here today, and actually she's the cook, but it all started with this recipe. It's called Slammin Salmon, and I'll show you how I do it.
It looks delicious, and while we're cooking, if you don't mind, I'll just grill you with some questions and
sure.
to get a chance to get to
grill away.
There. Grill away. There's a pun there somewhere.
All right. Well, it starts off with you take your salmon. Let's see, we got them over here. This is an Atlantic salmon.
Okay.
I think this is the better salmon. To impress your woman, you want to get the good stuff first, and this tastes a little less fishy, I think, than your standard salmon. So what I do is I've already cut out a piece of foil for you here, but you want a larger piece of foil than you would think would be necessary to make this, what I call the boat. It's a foil boat that's going to be, the salmon's going to be cooking in. So I'm going to take one of them here, I'll put this other one over here.
Okay.
So here's the second one, and I'll start with putting the herbs and spices on first.
And while we're doing the herbs and spices and you're washing your hands there, you just released your new solo album, Drive, correct?
Yeah, Drive is a collection of cover tunes that I loved before I started playing guitar. Thank you. And they're songs that inspired me as a kid. So they're not the kind of typical songs that people would think that I would cover.
Can you give me an idea of a couple songs on there?
Yeah, I did a Stevie Wonder song, I did a Rare Earth song, I did a Three Dog Night song, I did a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, and they're not songs that have been covered to death. They're songs that are somewhat, maybe they were hits, but maybe people wouldn't think that I would cover them. Like
how did you go
Fire by the Ohio Players or something like that.
How did you go about choosing them? Are they like standard favorites of yours? Or
favorites of mine since I was a kid. I had the album, and this song really spoke to me, and so I couldn't do a Led Zeppelin song because Led Zeppelin is a band that's, people may think, it's a band that is a hard rock heavy metal band, and I wanted to try to do music that wasn't necessarily in my genre, but to get out of my comfort zone and learn stuff. And because I've played a lot of Led Zeppelin songs, I hadn't played the Ohio Players much.
Led Zeppelin songs, as great as they are, they've been overdone and over-tributized and whatever a million times over.
And it's hard to pull that stuff.
That's kind of cool.
So, well, anyway, with the salmon, the first thing I do is I take a little salt and I put that right there on the top of that, and then I put a little pepper and I put that. So it all starts with the salt and the pepper. And over here on this one, I'll go ahead and knock this one out real quick. The salt goes on first.
Okay. And while you're doing that there, I know Firehouse, are you guys writing on anything new?
We're touring all the time. We did like 50 shows last year. We're writing songs and doing work all the time. We're planning on recording a couple of songs and just releasing them as singles to iTunes.
Okay.
When we get 10, we'll put out an album. That kind of thing. So that's kind of our new way of doing stuff. Now, to get over here, I think it's time that we do the foil boat. Now, this technique in doing this is pretty simple, but what you want to do is you want to get this tin foil to come up in a rectangle,
Okay.
and then you kind of pinch the pieces together and you fold it over so that all the juices of all the ingredients are going to steam inside here and get into the salmon.
Okay.
So I do this. I kind of fold that. I do this.
It take you a while to perfect this little folding technique?
It's been trial and error. And then what you're left with is this sort of look.
Sort of foil bowl.
So then what we're going to do is we're going to pour in white wine, which I would suggest that this would be the first thing you open and give to your date. Let her start sipping on this, and you sip on it too. And then, you know, not only is the wine going to kind of make everything kind of nice and fun, but it also will make everything taste better. So I put about that much into it, and then I add a little more.
And in this case, we're using Chardonnay, but I mean, you could use any white wine. Is that correct?
If the better the wine, the better she's going to be sipping.
Right.
You know, so just use whatever you're going to. You're not going to be using that much for this, so you really want to just like open up that bottle of wine, pour her a glass, pour yourself a glass, and then just use.
Pour her another
bit.
glass and then use the rest.
And then use the rest. I mean, I would say, you know, get the Montrachet if you can afford it.
Right.
I can't, so
Yeah.
Sutter home, you know, whatever.
That's about what we can afford here in the
Right,
Really
that's
Delicious,
what,
so it is what it is.
Hey, we do the box wine at home, so it's all good.
So I know you say you're writing,
Yeah.
and you guys are doing one song at a time. But what's your writing process like? Because you guys are not all in the same geographical area, are you?
Yeah, we use technology and telephone a lot. We'll get on Skype and we'll get on FaceTime and stuff like that. And what we often do is we'll get together. You know, I'll come up with a guitar riff. I'll send it to CJ. CJ will say, "Oh yeah, I like that," or "I think I've got an idea," or I'll say, "Hey, I got this hook. There ought to be a law," and he'll say, "Oh yeah, I like that." And he'll go crazy on writing the lyrics.
Right.
So it really, there's no formula with us. We just get to work and then just chip away at it, and eventually a song
So
comes
let me
out.
ask you another quick question. So when you're writing, are you writing with the stage or the live setting in mind? Or are you writing
No.
just the song for the song's sake?
Just for the song. That's what I do. I don't think in terms of how it's going to be live. And I also think, hey, if it works out so that you know, it winds up being a Firehouse song, great. If it winds up being a song that maybe a country artist would like, great. I just want to try to keep the creative process going and try to keep working. And if you know something great comes out of it, cool. If it doesn't, well, at least I had fun
Right.
creating something.
So that being the case, do you ever have trouble translating songs to the live setting?
Sometimes, and you know, we always have that anxiety where we go, how are we going to get this to sound good
Right.
live? You know, and we always come to the conclusion that we'll worry about that later. Let's get the record to sound as good as we possibly can, and then let's worry about the live deal. And usually we'll change an arrangement a little bit, or you know, our bass player sings really high, so we don't have to worry about the high vocals.
Right.
So, and everybody in our band sings, so we can usually pull off harmonies pretty well. Sometimes we'll have to drop one if we put 5 parts in our
Right.
song or whatever. But other than that, we just get up and do the best we can. So the next ingredient after the white wine is lemon juice. And I took the seeds out, and I just take it and I squeeze the
So you can use the whole lemon then?
the whole lemon on each salmon steak.
I'll go ahead and start this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, man, go for it. And after I squeeze it as much as I can with the hand, I'll take the spoon and work as much of this out as I can. Even if some of the flesh gets on it, that's good stuff. All the lemon in there is going to help make that fish taste that much better. And it goes well with the wine, so you've got a nice little combination
Can't
of
really go wrong.
wholesome goodness. right there.
So I know you guys, you said you tour a lot, 50 dates a year or something. How do you keep up with the physical demands of a tour? Do you have difficulty doing that?
Well, I try to stay in shape. I mean, I love to play ice hockey, so I'm still, even at my age, I'm on a hockey team in a league, and that keeps my cardio up on a pretty regular basis. But what I'll do a lot of times when I get to a hotel is I'll go to the gym for a little bit and get on a treadmill. And that helps a lot. Where's that towel? Thank you.
Right here.
But the number one friend of mine out on the road is sleep.
Yeah.
You know, you're always trying to get sleep. It's hard to get any sleep on the road, and that's the toughest part of touring is, you know, I thought I was going to be able to, you know, get some sleep. When we had a tour bus, we could.
Right.
But now we're at the mercy of the commercial airline schedule, and their schedules
Lots of airports.
Yeah, you got to leave at 6:30 a.m.
Right.
So that means you got to get up at 3 a.m. to get there in time.
Right.
And so we don't get any sleep.
So the next part of that question is then, you've been at this for quite a long time, do you find the rigors of touring taking more of a toll on you as you get a little bit older?
I love point A and I love point B.
It's just the whole thing in
The
the middle.
whole process of getting from point A to point B is a real pain.
Right.
But you know, the hardest thing for me is just not getting any sleep, but I'm kind of getting used to it. We'll do 3 nights in a row where I'll get maybe 2 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
And the first thing that'll go for me is sort of my lower back, but as long as I can get a chair, you know, in between, you know, all the traveling around,
Right.
I'm usually okay. I'll get up on stage for that hour and a half, I'll forget about it after I'm done.
Right.
Dead tired, my back's killing
Right.
me. But, oh hey, the next thing I put in is a few capers. So about this many capers, and I want to have them kind of spread out along the salmon kind of evenly, because you don't want your lovely lady to just bite into that piece of salmon and get the whole mouthful of capers.
We were talking about capers a little bit earlier. I hadn't been familiar with them until I just tried them prior to this little set here and there. They're definitely different than I thought.
Yeah, they're a nice little salty kind of.
But I imagine a whole mouthful at once is probably not.
No, it's gonna be overkill. You know, you don't want to just knock her over the head with capers. You want to just have a little bit of a couple of every bite to have a little kind of flavor in this one, instead of having everything kind of tasting the same. So the capers add a nice little texture, or whatever you
Right.
call it to that. And then the next thing I do is get some garlic. And so that's the thing about this recipe is for each one of these salmon steaks, we're gonna put some garlic on there.
In my book, you can never have enough garlic.
Yeah, and the thing is it's kind of cool. When it comes to letting down the guard of the woman, you can let her know that you're not going to go try to make out with her right away, because we're both having
Right.
a lot of garlic, and that's going to make it go, okay, cool. We're not into this for just that. We're going to just hang out and have a good time. Of course, you know, that can all change. You know, you just offer another glass of wine,
Right.
and, you know, that can all change. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll get over here and I'll press this, and garlic press is your friend.
Garlic press is totally different. I don't know how you survive without one of those in the kitchen for sure.
So now what I do here is I'll scrape this stuff off of here.
The goodness.
And then, yeah, wholesome goodness. And then I'll, you can't see it, but I'm evening that out all over this salmon, so it's not all clumped in one area. Like I said, you don't want her to bite into this, take one bite and have the whole
Right. Caper, garlic,
clump of
mouthful.
garlic in there. So that's that one. We'll go over here and do this one real quick. Drop that off here at the sink.
So if you're, while you're still crushing, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You guys were one of the first bands you tour extensively, but you were one of the first bands to play in northern India.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Man, it's awesome there. That's Northeast India is that's a hard rock heavy metal mecca. I mean, there's a few states there that where did I get it? There's a few states there that love hard rock, heavy metal, and they're really passionate about it. And we got to play, you know, stadium show
Right.
where we were the headliner, and gosh, I guess it's 40 or 60,000 people or something like that.
The logistics of getting over there though must have been extremely difficult though,
you
right?
talk about the rigors of touring. I mean, that's a long travel. I think it was 36 hours from the time we left our home.
Right.
36 hours till the time we left our house, till the time we got to our hotel room.
Oh, and that's not even on stage. That's just a hotel room.
That's just to get to the hotel room to get your sleep.
Right.
Because I don't sleep well in a chair sitting up.
Right.
And we don't, always get to lay down on a plane. I mean, it's pretty rare. But the crowds are just awesome. They love the music. They love the whole experience. So it's all really cool. Hang on one second. Got a little bit of something right there. Okay. You got it. All right, we're good there.
All right.
The next thing I would do is chop up some cilantro and onion. But let's get the onion first, since we're.
You want me to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah, cool.
So speaking of touring extensively, then, since you've pretty much been quite a few places, is there any place you haven't been that you'd like to get to?
Man, I would love to play in Australia. We've played just about every continent except Africa and Australia, and I would love to play Africa. That would be awesome. But Australia is one of those places where we should have played by now, but we just haven't been able to get it to work. We played around there. We played all the countries in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia.
Oh, you played Indonesia. You got all the way that far, but not to Australia?
But not to Australia. So
that's interesting, because there's a pretty big scene over there.
Yeah, so that's enough right there.
That's enough?
Yeah, you're good.
Is that dice enough? We're good?
Yeah, that's great. All you need for this is probably 2 spoons, 2 of these teaspoons of this. And you just want to have a little bit flaked along the salmon steak there. It's just a subtle addition. We're not going heavy on the onion. Just another little touch. Perfect. And then so about 2 of these over on this one.
So do you have any rituals before you hit the stage?
I try to warm up every night for vocally and guitar-wise for about an hour. The vocal I try to warm up for. I try to sing just hallelujah, kind of easy kind of stuff, and work into the higher range for 30 minutes, and then I try to shut up for 30 minutes before you play. I don't want to talk at all then, because I want my voice to relax and unswell from singing before that 30 minutes before the warm-up. But I keep playing my guitar as much as I can. The more I'm familiar with how everything feels, the better I'm going to play.
Right.
And I try to also play a couple of days before I show up at the gig. If I haven't played for a while and I show up, the guitar just doesn't feel natural to me. It doesn't feel like it's part of an extension of my body. Whereas if I've been playing...
So prior to a couple days, sort of amp it up?
Yeah, I've got to be in shape when I show up for the game.
Right.
All right, this is cilantro. We're going to want to use some of this to put on top of the salmon at the very end. So we're going to save this little bit and set that right there. And then the other bit, a little goes a long way, so about this much should do the whole.
I love the smell.
Yeah, it's a great smell. And you kind of bunch it all up real tight, like this, before you chop it up, and then you just start doing this. And you might have to bunch it up a couple more times to get it to be. The whole idea behind this is to have teeny weeny little pieces of cilantro on the salmon. Not big chunks of it. You just want teeny weeny little pieces.
But for a guy who's not a cook, you've got some pretty cool little tricks there.
Well, I've been watching my wife a little bit. I have to be honest, but but this is one of those things that I pick up on by osmosis.
While you're doing that, though, we need to preheat the oven. Is that correct?
Yeah, we want to preheat that to 450.
Okay.
And we're going to cook these for only 20 minutes. So 20 minutes will. Now, if the salmon steaks are really thick, 20 minutes. If they're thin, maybe 15.
Okay.
The good thing about all those juices, here's half of what we were talking about.
Okay.
The good thing about all the juices that are in this is that they won't let the salmon dry out, and that's what you don't want. You can't really overcook it and if you go 20 minutes if it's a thin piece, but if it's thin, and these are fairly thin, we might want to go 15 or 16 minutes or something like that. And that's what I found.
That's something you do have to be careful about though, right? Because overcooked salmon overcooked any kind of fish is rough.
Yeah, it gets chewy and it gets tough, whereas you just want that tender kind of vibe. Then the last thing that we'll put on, we'll have some of it that we're going to save for when it comes out of the oven.
Okay.
Is some of this mango salsa. And what this I already got chopped up and already made, but it's got mango, it's got a little cilantro in there, it's got some red pepper, it's got some red onion, it's got a little bit of a hot pepper, I think it's a habanero, just a little bit in there, and it's chopped up into these little pieces like this, and so we'll put a little bit of that in here. We don't want to put a lot in there, it's just going to, like I said, you spread it around so that there's a little bit of a bite.
And if you didn't have that at home, you could go ahead and make those with those ingredients you just said, right?
You chop up a mango, and this is all fresh mango anyway in here, but save a little bit for afterwards. You'll see why after this is done, why having a little bit on the top, because it'll make it look good.
Right.
At the end, when you pull this out, sometimes, well, we're going to use that cilantro to put it on top, because the fish, when it's all cooked and steamed and everything, it won't look as beautiful. And you want her in the other room when you pull it out, so you can put that stuff over there, and then it'll look better.
So you sit it down with a second glass of wine and then go ahead and
That's
and
right,
do your thing.
yeah.
Right.
Put on some Firehouse music or my new Drive album, and it'll be all good. All right, now I think we got everything we need in the boat. Now I want to show you the technique of putting the boat together. So you can see what we got in there, how it's all spread around a little bit, everything.
The aromas are nice too, which makes that smell-o-vision sort of thing going on.
So what you do is you then fold this piece in, fold that piece in, and we're going to squeeze that together like that. And you really want to have it as airtight as you can, so that none of these juices and steam will escape.
All right, so I guess our oven's preheated. We're going to go ahead and top that in now.
Okay, cool. So to be a real macho man, you don't want to appear stupid, but you don't need a pot holder to put it in. You just want to make sure you don't touch the any parts of the inner side of the oven. So you can just, be talking to your girl and then open this up and just set it on that rack and then just kind of slide it in. This kind of cookie sheet has that little edge on it, and then you just set it in there. With these, I'd say 15 minutes, since it's at 450. If they're a little thicker, I would say 20 minutes, but somewhere in between there, you'd be perfect.
Okay. So you guys have had a big hit with Love of a Lifetime. I mean, it's probably what you're, I guess, most well known for. But when you look back on that song, it's become sort of like a wedding standard. Did you ever imagine, I mean, you could probably have never imagined it, but how does that make you feel, or what's that like?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, we never imagined it would be as big as it was. It was the #1 wedding song in Bridal Magazine, which I'd never heard of Bridal Magazine until that happened. But it was a big song for us. A lot of people have gotten married to that song, and what really blows my mind is, well, we try to meet everybody after our show. We'll go out and we'll shake hands with everybody after we're done, and a big biker guy will come through the line, with, look, I'm thinking that he's getting ready to take a swing at me, and he'll say, "Hey man, that song Love of a Lifetime, well that was me and my old lady's wedding song." And I mean, it's just the coolest.
And I imagine that still happens today, right?
It still happens today. I mean, and the funny thing is, we have that song, that When I Look Into Your Eyes, which everybody got married to that one too the following year. And then we had a song called I Live My Life For You, which was a top 20 song that we had that came out in '94.
Right.
So, and we got a couple other love songs that people.
But it's just interesting though, because I mean, I just went to a wedding, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, and that was played again, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if they've ever really, when you sit back and think about that, that's kind of crazy, right?
It's wild, and
almost 20-something years later, that's still a wedding standard.
And people ask, hey, aren't you kind of bummed that you're known for like a love ballad kind of song? I'm like, man, if you can be known for anything in the music business, be thankful. And I'm just so grateful to everybody out there who likes our music for any reason at all. And if there's anything that we've ever put to music that touches your heart, then you know,
keep listening.
We're just grateful. Yeah,
Right.
keep it, turn it up, man. You know?
So now that we're talking about songs, is there a song in your catalog, your vast catalog, that's a personal favorite, or is there a good story behind it, or?
Well, a song called "Reach for the Sky" is special to me in a way because when we wrote the song, and we all liked the song and thought it was a cool song, and we liked playing it live. And then we got this letter from the 82nd Airborne down in Camp Lejeune that said, we want to use this song as our recruitment song in 1992 for all the Marines that we're trying to recruit, and would you be willing to donate that song to us? We're not going to pay you. And we said, absolutely, we'd love to.
Right.
We'd be honored to have our song as the recruitment song for the United States of America.
Right.
And we each got one of these commemorative coins that they give out when you pass basic training down there. They give you this coin. It means a lot to those guys, and it meant a lot to us. I got a sweatshirt that said 82nd Airborne.
Really?
It's still my favorite sweatshirt. I still wear it to this day. I was in the post office the other day. This guy goes, "Oh, are you 82nd Airborne?" I said, "Well, no,
Kind of a long story.
I wasn't, but I co-wrote a song that they used as their recruitment song, and so it's nice there." And we got a letter from a general saying,
That's very
"Thank you
cool.
so much." So that to me is one of my favorite songs, that accomplishments that really means a lot to me.
Okay. All right, so now we're at 20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and pull them out, see what we got.
All right, woo! Woo! So this is where you do want to use your pot holder because you're really going to look like a fool if you try to grab that. So bring that out.
Wow, it smells fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. And then the good thing is that these cool off pretty quickly, so you can look really tough and macho if you start handling this right away. And it does. The only thing you got to watch out for
Steam.
is the steam, man. That steam will burn you. And so you just let a little of it come out first. And you notice all the juices stayed in here. They didn't leak out. So you got the white wine that's
Right.
still in there. You got the lemon juice, and it all just kind of got married in there. And it's
And today, for our purposes, we're doing just the salmon, but if you want to do this at home, I mean, you could do it with like a rice or an egg noodles or some sort of linguine, maybe.
whatever the easiest side dish for you is. For me, it's
that smells fantastic.
It's like broccoli or something.
Right.
Here you go. That's what it looks
Look
like.
at that.
So, but that's without doctoring it up yet. We're still going to put a little bit of stuff on it.
But even that looks impressive coming out of the oven. I mean, that's
Man,
pretty fantastic.
You can make yourself look like you kind of know what you're doing with this recipe and with this technique. That's what I like about it, is that I'm a complete newbie, complete amateur hack, a clown hack.
I tell you what, if you can make this and not be a cook, that's pretty fantastic.
Well, I mean,
And definitely, I can see where it would be impressive for sure.
well, it led me to marriage, and I'm still married 20 years later, so.
And here we are filming the day after Valentine's Day. You probably should have had this a couple days earlier. And we,
Well, hey, here's the second one. See, it looks nice. The mango gives you a little bit of color, a little bit of sweetness to it, yet the onions and the garlic and the cilantro gives you that really nice.
and the whole kitchen has that nice
And it's a very
white wine garlicky aroma.
eclectic kind of flavor that where every bite you're going to have like a new adventure that's going to hit you with every bite. So we kind of dump the foil there, and then
Now it's the garnish time.
yeah, what I do is I take a little bit of this, and this is just to make it look pretty. You know, you put a little bit of that there and a little bit of that there. You're not going to eat that though. You might nibble on it, but it's just to kind of cover up a little bit. And then, and actually I did that in the wrong order, but if we could take that over to the side, I put a little bit of this mango salsa uncooked.
Right on top.
Put it right on top there, and that's going to be the kind of the sweetener here. And then a little bit of this, like that.
Oh,
And then you kind of look like you're a pro.
Holy
And you
cow.
just warn her to that this cilantro a little goes a long way.
So now we're at my favorite part of the episode, the eating. This looks fabulous. Those of you out there, wish you had smell-o-vision because it's pretty fantastic. Bill, if you're ready, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, man, bon appetit, and you know, you can You don't want to really chomp down on that cilantro, like I said, but everything else is really, really good. I really like the skin of the salmon. If you really want to play it safe, you kind of, the skin will come right off of the salmon, so you can take your spatula and kind of work the skin right off. It'll just fall right off because you cooked it in the wine and the lemon juice.
That's fantastic, and you're right about the flavors. There's a whole variety of flavors going on in there.
Every bite's something different, and they all seem to work together. The mango is kind of the icing on the cake. If you can't get mango and it's not in season, it's not a deal breaker. You just get a little red pepper, a little red onion.
But that adds definitely a nice little sweetness to it.
And you can use pineapple. There's another good one.
That'd be very good too. Well, excellent, man. Bill, once again, thank you for coming out.
Thanks, man.
I totally appreciate it.
Great to be here. Thanks for the
Thank you very much. So I know we were talking about your new CD drive. Here it is right here for all the folks out there. And it's available iTunes,
Amazon, all those usual suspects. But if you want me to sign it, I'd be glad to sign it for you. You just have to get it from my website, and that's leverty.com.
Okay, cool.
And I'd be happy to sign it. And just say you saw it on this show, and you'd like for me to sign it to you. Just write me a little note, say, sign it to John, and I'll sign. I'll take it. Say to John, thanks, Bill Leverty. So
Perfect.
check it out.